Hello, my lovelies. How are we all doing? I felt like I shouted that at you. I'm sorry, that was quite aggressive. How are we all doing? So I had a request on one of my YouTube videos about doing a tour of my art studio. So that is what we're going to do today. I have to put a disclaimer in here. You know all of those beautiful art studios that you see when you Google them, and how a lot of people present their art studios? Yeah, well, this ain't one of them. I am very untidy and it is very well used. So brace yourself, guys. Please don't think bad of me. I have, as they say, ideas laying about everywhere. So this is real. This is exactly what actually an art studio looks like. Please don't leave me. Right, let's go. So, welcome to my studio. I am lucky enough that my studio is in my house. It's in the front of my house. As you can see, I've got two giant windows, which makes it excellent. Lots of light in there for me. You can see I haven't got any curtains up because I don't really need them. Although it does make it very, very cold in there. Sorry, my dog is running around like a lunatic. I don't know what's wrong with him this morning. He's feeling full of beans. Anyway, so this is my studio. As you can see, it is not Pinterest worthy, but this is the reality, guys. This is exactly what a real life working studio looks like. And essentially what I do is I squirrel stuff away and try and hide it and have to move things left, right and centre to make space. So come on, let's walk in and I will show you. Right, I am a massive book fan, and I have to be honest with you guys, this is my art studio, but I spill out, so there is lots of stuff everywhere. So I've got this little bookshelf in here where all my books are. Some are arty, some are other things. Lots of books on nature. Oh yeah, look, how good is that? Van Gogh straight there, and Gustave Doré, graffiti, all of that. These are mainly art books, but obviously, look, I've got other books in there as well that I like reading. But I find, books-wise, guys, I think in regards to art, I think it's good to have a very eclectic taste. You don't just necessarily have to look at art books for inspiration. But you can see, when I say that I spill out everywhere, you can see, look, I've also got books piled up there. Here's my scanner that I use for scanning work in. That's an Epson V600 photo, which apparently is the best photo scanner for artwork. I can use it in the most basic of sense. I'm not very good with anything like this. So if anybody knows how to use one of these things properly, please hit me up. And as we go round, you can see I've got my sink. When we built this space, we stole units from the old kitchen in the house. So yeah, so I was really lucky that I got to repurpose thing. Kettle, always important because you cannot work without good tea. And you can see, look, I am so messy. Look at the state of this. Generally, this corner is reserved for coloured pencils. I've got palettes, various tins, jars of things. There is method to my madness, guys, because although it looks chaos, and granted it is chaos, I kind of tend to know where everything is. So this generally tends to be my watercolour paint area, my pencil area. You can see I've got paint brushes, inks and stuff like that. And then these drawers are just filled with, look, sandpaper, acrylic paints and pastels. And I think I've got lighting down there. That's for if I go to an exhibition and I need lighting. So, you know, like, there is kind of method to my madness. You can see lots of paint swatches and stuff like that on the wall. I'm a big fan of mixing my colours before I actually paint, and I always tend to pop them on the wall. It's really good and useful. I would recommend anybody doing this. Look, it's really good and useful for making sure that your colours stay consistent throughout a piece of art. And, you know, like, if you're looking for, you know, you've got, you're working on something and you need a certain colour or tone, I've already got the mixes on there. So you kind of already know the ballpark, rather than like spending hours like mixing up your colours. And unless you're very, very good at colour mixing, mixing up colours quickly tends to be a bit of a ball ache. Anyway, so on to my next area. So this area along here, oh my Lord, look at the mess there. This area along here tends to be for my sewing. Not that we've done a lot of this in any of my tutorials, So you probably don't know this about me, but some of the work that I do is actually stitched. Look, there's an example of it there. So I do stitched landscapes, and for that I use my glorious Banina. I mean, in my mind, it is the sewing machine of all sewing machines. It is phenomenal, and that's what I use to do freehand stitching. I will show you some more of that later on, but not in this tutorial. I am really out of breath. I am huffing and puffing like a dog here. I'm sorry. Woo, deep breath. Right, okay, yes. So, and we move on. So you can see I've got all of my, there's some needle felting stuff there. You can see that I like to experiment a lot. And generally all of my colours and embroidery threads and everything like this is here. See in here. I mean, I'm sure this is giving some people palpitations. Look, you can see a stitch piece there that I've done there of my dog, Harley. We'll introduce you to her in a minute. But yeah, this bit under here is actually my favourite ever piece of artwork that I've ever created. And I created that when I was at college. How funny is that? Based on the Bayeux Tapestry, if you can believe it. But yeah, all of my sewing stuff and everything's there. Like I say, I'm sure this is giving some people heart palpitations. But to be honest with you, I'm just an untidy person, and no matter how hard I try to be tidy, it just doesn't work for me, guys. It doesn't work for me. Right, up here, I have a basket full of basically scrap paper. So if ever I need to do any of my paint swatches, if I ever, when I'm doing art class in here and they need me to show them an example, I've just got loads of like basically scrap piece of paper, basically, so I'm just not throwing stuff out all the time and using expensive paper when I don't want to. Again, more sewing stuff there. This here, I'm embarrassed to show you, is essentially my technological junk corner. Yeah, that's an old scanner that I don't use anymore, and there's various plug sockets and goodness knows what in there. And again, up here in this cupboard, oh my lord, I am worried I will lose followers with this. That is just full of fabrics and various things. Essentially, the key to being a good artist is to never throw anything away, because you never know when you may need it. Down there, again, I've got more needle felting stuff. And look, there we go. Basically, everything is squirreled away. I've got a spare sewing machine under there, a sewing box under there, some of my old paintings, and these are boxes full of stuff that if I go to an exhibition, all kind of squirreled away and hidden under there. And also you can see I've got some framing stuff there, because I make my own frames. Disclaimer, I don't make my frames. My boyfriend makes my frames for me, but you know, I'm kind of involved in it. There's Harley. So Harley is a 13, nearly 14-year-old staffie, and she's my absolute angel. She is deaf as a post now, but she is my absolute baby, and we love her. So here is my chair. This was meant to be, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and he has a thinking couch. Well, this was meant to be my thinking chair. Unfortunately for me, the thinking chair very quickly got taken over by the dogs, as I'm sure you have all seen, because in all of my tutorials, one or both of them are generally asleep on the chair behind me, and whenever I'm in here, they are behind me. Bandit normally is sat on the back there staring out the window, because he likes to be on guard, even though he's possibly the most useless guard dog going. And let me introduce you to Bandit, seeing as he's come in, because he's feeling like he's not getting any attention. So Bandit, we like to affectionately call him a jackawhat. He's meant to be a jackapoo. I don't think he looks very jackapoo-y. Definitely Jack Russell. God knows what else is in there. He was meant to be kind of little, but he grew and he grew and he grew. He was a lockdown puppy. We love him very dearly. Bandit by name, Bandit by nature, because he is a little bit of a toad. And yeah, we call him a jackawhat because we don't know what he is. Hey, right. As you can see, more junk on my windowsill. Absolutely despicable of me, but quite frankly, I don't really care. More books piled up. Here, I've got a big tub. I use these when I'm doing art classes and tutorials, or you know, I occasionally go into the odd school, and that's just a box basically full of stuff that you can use for still life, lots of different textures, stuff like that, that I tend to use for things like that. And, you know, more stuff basically hidden, more paintings basically hidden under here. Here, this beautiful desk, which is basically completely and utterly hidden. Do you know what? I'm gonna uncover it. Bear with. Essentially, this is what I spend the most of my time doing in the art studio, which is basically moving one thing to another corner so I've got space to work, which is equally incredibly annoying, but also 100% my fault. So we've got to deal with it. This beautiful desk I found in an old, like, you know, one of those like sort of junk shops. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I sort of had visions. It was when we were kind of doing this. I had visions of sitting in the window, you know, like a proper artist sitting there with, I don't know, my tea and a scented candle and all of that sort of stuff, creating marvellous work. That's how I saw myself on it. I can categorically tell you I have never sat at this desk and actually worked. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's sort of semi in the way in here, and I essentially just use it to store stuff on. So this is like various bits and bobs of work that is stored on the top. Those are, I don't know if anybody follows me on Instagram, you see I've been doing lots of charcoal drawings, so they're all wrapped up there. Here's again some more of my stitched work under there, so you can see I have stuff everywhere. So essentially it's used for storing that, and I kind of store paper underneath it. Again, this is a classic thing. If you are an artist, you will understand this about not throwing anything away. So that there is a mannequin that rarely ever gets used. I do make things, but rarely ever gets used, and I got it for free from one of my mum's friends, and I just can't bear to throw it out because essentially at various points it's useful. I just don't use it all the time, so she kind of lives there in the window and again periodically gets moved around. So yeah, and again this chair was another find that I bought from some junk shop. I mean, honestly, look at this place, from some junk shop, and again I thought, oh yeah, perfect, that will go with that desk over there. It is too high for the desk. Let me demonstrate. So it is too high to sit under the desk there. So essentially it has become another storage area, which I find incredibly helpful. Yet I still can't quite throw it out. Like, yeah. So now let's move on to my other corner. Right, so this is my main easel that I work off. I'm sure lots of you have seen it in the background with various bits of work on. Absolutely love that easel. It is solid. It is, oh, it's just amazing. And yeah, it always has various degrees of different work on there. That's my most latest piece in charcoal. Look at that bad boy. It's not bad, is it? Right, let's wander behind. Bear with. So behind my easel, which I've just had to move out, I have my, I don't know, rack, cradle, I don't know what people call them. This is essentially filled with basically anything that I can't find a space for. Look, there's my painting that a lot of you've seen in the people would be absolutely mortified with how I store my work. Like, it's despicable really, isn't it? But it is literally for, that's something that I took into a kid's school to do some work with, filled with various paintings, basically anything, loads of like sketchbook work. I don't work in my sketchbooks like a lot of people work in sketchbooks. I tend to use my sketchbooks for note taking. Whenever I do what is traditionally sketchbook work, i.e. experimenting, practicing, I tend to always do it on actual pieces of paper. I find a sketchbook very confining. There is no right or wrong way to this, but yeah, I find it very confining. There we go. That picture there was done by my darling sister for me. That's Harley. Hasn't she done an amazing job? I keep, basically through storage reasons, not because I'm egotistical, a lot of my work that's framed because it can be impossible trying to find space for it. A lot of my work that's framed I put on the walls just because it is a place to keep it that is safe and out of the way, basically. And here we've got like a long, some more easels there, some more storage, another set of drawers, again found in a beautiful like junk shop. This is full to the brim. I cannot be bothered to move everything out in there. Basically, I've got reference photos in there, I've got old sketchbooks in there, which I'll never throw away because they're like diaries, and I've got oil paints and all of that sort of stuff in there. And now we move on to, see, look, my lighting in the way. I never ever put these down because I'm using them quite so often. But let's move them out of the way. Right, so I have my tables set up in the middle of the art studio. This is because I run my art classes here. And so, I mean, I am so incredibly lucky that I've got the space to do that. What does generally happen is literally about 30 minutes before everybody's due, I have to quickly whiz round and tidy everything up. Again, you can see more like what we saw over there, which was more books. Somebody was working from one of my paintings on Tuesday, so that's out there, and you can see basically it essentially, again, it just works as storage, more stuff like that some of my students use, paper. Here again are a load of my sketchbooks, what I'm working in at the moment. So I have like I say, I don't use sketchbooks as to do work in. I tend to use them for note taking, and for each, because I work on lots of different things, whether it be my my stitched work, whether it's charcoal, whether it's illustrative work, I tend to have a sketchbook for each. So I end up with like loads of like little ones that sometimes I carry around with me, larger ones. Look at this, these like this, loose paper there. Oh, look, there's another one. Like, there's another one. There's the picture that I was working through for Harley. Like you can see, so this is kind of, these will be taped into a sketchbook. So you can see here how I tend to work. There's the actual sketchbook that's from there. And there are various books that some of my art students use. Generally, when I'm teaching an art class in here, it depends on how much you own there. My students sit around here and I sit at the head of the table because, you know, like I'm the boss. So generally, I get to pile all my junk up on this spot and work from here. So yeah, let's just do a quick like 360, is it? There we go. Look, there we go. There's my one junk corner, another junk corner. Oh, junk corner again. Oh, more junk, dogs, junk. Oh, and junk. Actually, we shouldn't call it junk, should we? These are necessary artistic tools. So yeah, like, it is a very well used and loved art studio. We ain't about candle lighting and sitting in beautiful, serene spaces in here. We are about functionality. So hope you've enjoyed it. I hope I haven't disappointed you. I don't know what you were expecting. If you know me, then you were definitely expecting that. If you're one of my art students that's watching, well, you've worked in this space, so you definitely knew what you were in for. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I hope it's been sort of something that you want to look, but it is quite good. Do you know what? It's just good being nosy at other people's spaces, isn't it? Plus you got to meet the dogs, which is always good. So yeah, like, follow, subscribe. Tell your friends about me. That would be absolutely marvellous. Comment below. Tell me what your art studio looks like, or whether or not it is tidier than yours, or yours is tidier than mine. You know, one of those two. Yeah, and all that thing. And until next time, when I don't know what we're going to be doing, to be honest with you, because I tend to wing it a little bit. But yeah, we'll get some good ones in the pan. See you later, guys.